All right, so let's talk about the best sauna heaters. This is something that's still coming up. I've done a lot of videos on this in the past, but I don't think they're definitive enough for people, or it's just not succinct enough in one space. Maybe I should move over a little bit. This thing's in the way. So a lot of people still have questions about carbon versus ceramic. If you read some of my really, really old blog posts, I really like ceramic infrared heaters. I like ceramic saunas. There's just a couple problems with them. Some of it's the same problems that you're going to hear everywhere. Some of the sauna companies jump on board and we'll tell you the difference about the heat delivery and how they feel. Personally, I love the intensity of ceramic infrared emitters. So in that regard, I think they're awesome. The heat delivery is extremely directional. So if you have a ceramic infrared emitter, whether it's a rod or a concave or whatever type heater, usually the spread, like the throw of infrared, is going to be a very narrow beam. And so heater placement in the sauna comes into play tremendously. Any infrared sauna that is ceramic based, like an older Therasana that I bought, or any of them really that don't have front heaters, it's going to be hot and cold. It's going to be really hot on the back, and it's going to be kind of cold on the front. The other issue with them, before I get to the positives, there's a couple more issues really, but I was trying to start out with a positive because I like the feel of ceramic heaters. They feel really intense. They take a long time to heat up usually, but when they get hot, they get very hot. And so when you're sitting in front of them, you know it. Some people hate that. A lot of people don't like that. It's too intense. A lot of things that they like about infrared saunas are how gentle they are. Usually they're talking about carbon. But I personally like ceramic emitters, except for a few things. You've got to have... the other issue that is in the back of my mind is that a lot of ceramic emitters are AC current, right? And so you can't really get rid of magnetic fields in the EMF levels 100% with ceramic emitters. It's just not really possible. There's no way to shield them. There's no way to reverse the polarity and cancel them out. There's no way to do a bunch of things. And so usually you've got 10 to 12 milligauss of magnetic fields right in front of a ceramic heater. And there's nothing that's going to make that go away. You can shield the electric fields just like you can a carbon emitter, but it's not going to get any better. And so that's, kind of like a sore point for using them. The other thing would be they get so intense sometimes that you have to turn your body or move away, because if you have them on the backrest, if they're behind the backrest behind you and you're sitting right in front of them, it's too much. It's too much. And if you're in a sauna that, like I said before, doesn't have the front heaters, you're going to want to turn because your front is going to kind of be cold and the back is going to be overheated. So there's that. Let's see, what else? The EMF thing. A lot of them are AC current. Most people, when they talk about EMF, they don't even mention the fact that, are we comparing DC to AC? AC you definitely want to be more concerned with than DC. Some people even say that you don't have to worry about DC at all, but both of them still affect body voltage in a really tight, close quarter environment like this. And there's still an AC power supply with a transformer and stuff in it under your butt or over your head. And so there's still other EMF things to be concerned with, regardless of that, in the sauna itself. But what are the other things? Preheat time. Ceramic saunas usually take longer to heat up than carbon, in my experience. Time to sweat. Time to sweat, if the sauna is preheated, I'd say they're about equal, or maybe the ceramic is a little quicker for time to sweat. Meaning, if the sauna has been preheating for an hour, all things being equal, you might sweat a little bit quicker in a ceramic because the surface temperature is hotter. So it gets things moving. Really depends on the heater layout, though. If they don't have a good heater layout, if there's not side heaters or front heaters, that's not necessarily the case. And so the hot spots, I've already talked about that. Hot spots with ceramic emitters, there's nothing you can do about that. The surface temperatures is too high. Temperature control is more difficult with ceramic heaters because the surface temperature is higher. Now, that's not to say that control panels in ceramic powered infrared saunas don't work. They do. It's just not as quick. You can adjust the temperature in a carbon and it's much quicker. EMF, we talked about that. Conclusion. Let's see. So carbon emitters. What are the pros and the cons of carbon? So the pros and cons of carbon are, they're easy to mitigate EMF on. It's easy to get rid of the electric fields. It's easy to get rid of the magnetic fields. You can have a low EMF sauna environment as long as you account for the other things in the sauna. And it's much simpler. The other pros are the heat delivery is more seamless. And instead of having that narrow band of infrared, it's spread out across the entire panel. So the heat delivery is a little bit more gentle, or at least it's much more even. So you don't have hot spots, you don't have cold spots. As long as the same thing applies, you need some sort of side or frontal infrared in order to have complete coverage, but you don't get that point where, okay, it's too intense on my back, I either need to turn my body or move. That doesn't really happen. And so it's easier to it's just easier to use. Most people find it more comfortable. Preheat time is usually quicker. Carbon saunas, to me, heat up faster. If we're talking about a good one, if you go to CertifiedSaunas.com, you can see which ones I recommend, the brands that I like, the brands that tested well EMF-wise. And you can verify that on live video. That's the whole point of the website. Time to sweat, I would say it's about the same, like I said before. Maybe a little bit slower, a couple minutes, as far as if all things being equal and the saunas are preheated. Hot spots you don't have. Temperature control is easier. EMF is easier. Conclusion. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. But some people talk about penetration and all this other stuff. You got to watch out for the bullshit marketing claims. There's a few to watch out for. One is emissivity. You know, there's sauna companies and sauna salespeople are clawing at the ice as they're drowning, trying to come up with ways to make their sauna appear better than a competitor's. One of the things they like to throw out there that is really difficult to measure and compare between two sauna brands that don't even use the same methodology or the same people to measure emissivity, which kind of would throw it out the window altogether, is emissivity. You know, so some companies say, oh, our super nanocarbon, you know, blah, 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 heater panels are patented, you know, proprietary technology. When in fact it's just changed about 3 degrees or 3%, so that it's different from someone else, so they can be awarded a patent, and then they can say this. Yet if you were to use both of them blindfolded, there's really not that much of a difference, because they're super proprietary patented nanocarbon heaters with 99-point emissivity and all this other shit. Isn't that much different from the other guys that doesn't have a fancy name and it's just called a carbon heater. And then you've got the other ones that say, what is it? Somebody sent that to me. It was you've got to have a blended heater. You've got to have a blended carbon and ceramic emitter if you want to get the full benefits of the far infrared. Then you get both. So if you guys think about this. The way a carbon emitter is made, before it goes into the press, right? Before it goes into, I don't know if you know what a thermofoil machine is, but it's very similar to that. It's really hot. The sheets are pressed together, blah, blah, blah. This carbon emitters are usually made the same way. Some are different thicknesses. Some have different layering. Some have different, methods of bonding or whatever. At the end of the day, carbon emitter is a carbon emitter. There's all those differences. But so if you were to take a little ceramic metallic dust and sprinkle it in between the layers before it goes into the machine to be pressed, now it's carbon and ceramic that delivers, I don't know, maybe a 10%, and I'm being very generous, a 10% difference between a non-carbon and ceramic emitter. How would you even know that? Would you even be able to tell? If you use that sauna and the one next to it, you really think you'd be able to feel that? So it's interesting to me that the sauna companies, who are really in a war with each other at the expense of the consumer, would come up with stuff like this. But think about it. It's genius. You know, you can't decide between a carbon and ceramic. We have the solution. We've got a carbon and ceramic emitter. When in reality, it's a carbon emitter with with ceramic metallic dust sprinkled in between the layers. So now we can say it's both. So if you like the way that sounds, maybe you should buy that. Me personally, I've used both. We can't tell the difference. So that addresses the carbon ceramic blends. Super duper nano carbon extravaganza. I think I've talked about that. They always come up with fancy names to make it sound like they have a super advanced technology on the heater. Really, the only one that's different, if you look at the Sunlight and Impulse, it's got a really thin foil material that it uses for the actual emitter, but it also has like some type of rubberized coating on the front. It's kind of weird. It's the only one in the industry that's like that. It's the only sauna that has an emitter like that. The other ones are really closely related. If you watch my review videos, you can see a bird's eye up close view of it if you want. But not positive or negative. It's just that one's the only one that's like super different. I don't know if that's good. Last but not least, let's. This doesn't really have to do with one or the other type of emitter. It has to do with the sauna company. Why is this shaking? I'm not even moving. So it has to do with the sauna companies just being misleading about their EMF levels. So a lot of people will say that a sauna, or a lot of companies or salespeople from a sauna company in particular, that a lot of them do this, they'll say that their sauna is low EMF. Or when you call in and you're asking, what should I choose, carbon or ceramic, they'll use this as a selling point, and it's misguided and it's unethical and it's misleading you 100%. And I'm going to explain it to you in a way that you can understand. They say that their sauna is low EMF because it has carbon heaters, or because it has, this particular heater or whatever, right? Just because a sauna has carbon heaters in it that have two panels laminated together, or they're canceling out the magnetic fields, they reverse the polarity on them to have a low reading on a Gauss meter, doesn't mean that they've addressed the electric fields. Doesn't mean that it's a low body voltage sauna. Doesn't mean any of that. So don't be fooled and think that just because a sauna has one or the other type of heaters that it's automatically low EMF. EMF stands for electromagnetic frequencies. There's two things in there: electric fields, magnetic fields. When they tell you it's low EMF, they're only talking about one. What about the other? That's why I do the videos. That's why if you go to CertifiedSaunas.com, there's links to the live video testing, because the sauna companies generate these reports, these fancy marketing reports that show you how their sauna was tested in a lab, how low EMF it is, but they're only showing you magnetic fields, right? And so if you were to really dive into that, this whole carbon versus ceramic thing goes out the window, because then you find out most ceramic saunas have magnetic fields in them that can't be mitigated, but they mitigate the electric fields because the cage that's over the front to keep you from burning yourself, because they get so flippin' hot, is grounded, which blocks the electric fields, leads to a lower body voltage sauna. There's a few saunas out there that are ceramic that can still have pretty low magnetic fields. You'll find one on the certified sauna list, but as a rule, the sauna companies that use carbon emitters will use this to combat the ceramic. When you call them and you're trying to figure out which one to buy, they'll say, oh, don't buy a ceramic sauna, it's got high EMF. That might be true, but you might also be dealing with an unethical carbon infrared sauna manufacturer that may have low magnetic fields but has sky-high electric fields that is generating a ton of body voltage. And so it's like, pick your poison. Which one do you want? Well, personally, we don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. So what I did was I came out with the certified sauna list, and I said, okay, for a sauna to be on this list, period, if you go to CertifiedSaunas.com, you can see the list. There's only 3 brands on there right now: Radiant Health, Clear Light, High Tech Health. But what you want to look for, the reason that you want to go to the website and look down the list is because I put links in there of me using the same equipment in the same test environment and showing you on live video what the levels are, so they back out. And then you can watch the review videos of all the ones that don't, all the saunas that aren't recommended, all the ones that tested terrible. And you can see the lies. You can see that Consumer Reports doesn't really review saunas. So all these websites and top 10 lists that say, oh, best sauna reviewed by Consumer Reports, total lie. They just don't do it. You can see how all the reviews on Amazon, half of them are fake, because people don't even know what they don't know. They think that this thing is great, but they have no idea. It's a pure lie. The sauna that was sold at Costco and Amazon and whatever says it's low EMF in the listing. It's got glaring reviews. These people don't check it. Well, I bought one. I checked it. Go watch the video. You'd be really surprised. Sauna companies aren't immune from, they're not immune from completely misleading you. And I think that happens with describing which sauna heater is best. And I think that just contributes to the confusion, but there's a lot of factors. Personally, I think both work well. Personally, I think I would be satisfied using both. Not meaning you have to have both. I mean, I can get great results and get a good sweat and get great health benefits from a carbon sauna, and I can do the same in a ceramic sauna. The experience is going to be different. All the points that I mentioned are going to be different. And, you know, there's things that you might be looking for that would give you a different outcome if, you know, you were trying to get to the bottom of this. So hopefully that was helpful. If I missed a point or there's some other way that you wanted explained or would like to see something else as a demonstration, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Have a great day, guys.